Hello everyone, my name's King, and today, if you just clicked on the video and don't know who I am, you will be learning about the Kraken Drive. And for the others that know who I am, hi, convince everyone else to subscribe, or that's how that works, right? You will also be learning about Kraken Drive. I'm not sure why I said it that way. I need to get better at intros. But yeah, so if you don't know, a Kraken Drive is kind of like the Kerbal space program equivalent of a warp drive. It's based on a bug with wheels and anything else that pushes other parts, and how they don't actually have equal and opposite reaction stuff, physics, word things. And so by pushing a part that is separate from the craft, it pushes back on the craft, just not in equal value, which forces you to go up, down, sideways, whichever way. The drawback is it's actually kind of unstable and unpredictable and explodey. So, you know, all fun stuff. And also, I won't be able to cover it in this video, but if you leave a planet, it stops working and you cannot fix it. Like, even if you turn it off and back on again, it does not fix it. So if you're to make one and actually get it more stable than this one here, and it does go outside the atmosphere or outside a planet's influence, I feel sorry for you, all that work is wasted. Unless instead of like decoupling stuff, you actually have docking ports and you can just reattach the part, wait till you're within another planet's influence and then reactivate it. That works much better. But I'm not good at making these. All of mine are usually unstable or outdated and lost. So, yeah. Also, as far as I can tell, there are not that many tutorials on Kraken drives. So hopefully this is more clear or helpful than the few that are out there, if anything. When I started making Kraken drives, link up in the iCard for the first video of, or the first Kraken drive I've ever made. When I was making that, or learning how to make Kraken drives, or even what they were, I had no idea how to make one. I just saw a post on Reddit of a Kraken drive and it was really cool because it's free energy. But there were no tutorials that I could find, at least. So I kind of had to Google it and like look on old Wikipedia or like old forum pages to figure this out. So hopefully this is much easier and nobody has to go through the trouble I did to figure this out. But it's actually kind of simple. I think I already explained it too when introducing stuff. Basically, you take a ship, so everything that is green except this is and that is the ship. And so what you want to do is have some kind of a lot of batteries and SAS modules. At least from what I can tell, that is very helpful in making it work. And then you want to encase an object. In this case, I have this giant ore tank. And what you do with that ore tank is you set it up to a decoupler, which is right there. It's kind of hard to see. This thing, that's a decoupler. And if you want it to be reusable, you can figure out how to do it with docking ports. I personally have not figured that out yet. The magnetic, just way docking ports work, or like they're like magnetically, like if they're close enough, they reattach. I haven't figured out how to make that work without making it even more unstable. So for me, I go with docking ports because I haven't found that great of a use for Kraken Drive over standard engines yet, but it is very possible for because it's free energy, extremely high thrust in upper atmosphere and out in space, I've actually been able to go fast enough to break the HUD system. So, very useful if you can make it stable. But, so you have a decoupler, so this detaches and becomes separate from the ship, as well as this. I'm not sure why. I was tinkering around with designs, and this seems to be the best one. And then you have wheels to push this down into the ground, and by pushing it down into the ground, up to this, it actually gets clipped into that a little bit. Everything goes crazy, the game freaks out, and it starts to flip in a completely uncontrollable direction. I have not figured out a way to control it without making things worse. But here, I'll give you a demonstration of this design. It's pretty self-explanatory. Encase object, push object into case by having them separate. Clips goes up or sideways or upside down if you do it wrong. Like, you cannot push the object upward. That'll push the craft into the ground and everything explodes. You have to push it downward, which is why the HUD's going to be inverted, and this is inverted because I did it wrong and then just flipped the ship around. It's weird. Kraken drives are complicated. I've spent like 2 or 3 hours before recording this just making this example, and it's very unreliable. Like, I can never get it to fly correctly. It always wants to flip around and explode, sometimes not even hover. So, in order to get this to work, first, you want to turn on SAS. I'm not quite sure if this is, like, needed, but as far as I can tell, it makes it go. So, you know, that's whatever. Now, I pressed spacebar to release this object. It is now separate. And as you can see, everything's shaking because this wants to go down, and this is technically a part of this. So it wants to go down, but this is too heavy to let it. So it's very unstable at the moment, and it's going to become more unstable. So, the Kraken drive is active. Now you press G for the gears, activating the wheels, and we start hovering. It did explode, which is not ideal. And as you can see, it has no idea what to do. Like, it's flipping, and it's moving, and it's hovering. And it's crazy. I'm using literally nothing. I mean, I'm using electric charge to keep it semi-stable. But it's just doing all this on its own. I'm not touching anything. And I probably should be touching something, because it has no idea what it's doing. But as you can see, slowly going up. Now we're going up faster. I think it might actually be stable, which is annoying because I just said it was unstable, and every time I tested this design before recording, it was unstable. Except for the time I was recording before this, which I'll play, which will be the end of this video. It was weird. Like, I was just going to record to see if I could get a stable example, or an example of how unstable it was, and it actually made it outside of Kerbal. So I'm going to use that as an example of how unstable it can be, but also how efficient and powerful it can be. Unless we do the same thing here, which we might actually do. But as you can see, it's jerking around, spinning around, dipping. It's doing all kinds of stuff, and it's going up, but not very fast. And it's also very just, I'm not touching anything, and it's jerking around all over the place. And that is because, if you look here, this object is clipping the bottom, which is this pushing it downward, but it cannot go downward because it's pushing into itself, causing it to go up. And for some reason, that means it jerks around a bunch and has no idea if it wants to go up, down, left, right, or whatever. I tried putting like wings on it to stabilize it. That just makes everything explode, apparently. And if this thing moves too violently, this ore container will explode and then it'll deactivate. And honestly, I kind of want to show that because we're like, I mean, we're going up, but not very fast. But yeah, I think I'll actually demonstrate that. That way I can actually use the footage from earlier in this video. So, I'm going to actually try my best to stabilize it now and just see how unstable it gets. So wait till it deviates and then try to correct. There, stay in that bottom circle. Almost up, up. There we go. Stay. Nope. Stay. Nope. Okay. Stay. But nope. Stay. In there. No. As you can see, it's basically exactly the same as before. Like, I doubt you're going to see much of a difference other than a bit more violent turns. So now, let's see what happens if it becomes too violent. So I'm just going to go like this, and as you can see, the ore tank exploded. Now the ship is actually extremely stable and extremely efficient at going straight down. So I'm gonna just kamikaze into the runway, and it actually survived. That's pretty impressive, huh? Come on, just blow up something, anything. Come on, we have 2,000 electric charge, do something. So as you can see, it is perfectly stable if you get rid of the ore tank, but it doesn't go upward, which is the whole point. So nothing you can really do there other than just sit with the unstableness of it and let it do its thing. So yeah, that was kind of simple and hopefully easy to understand. Now I'm going to show you a clip that I kind of halfway through it, once it actually showed it was stable, I actually decided, you know what, I'm going to use this as part of the video. So that's why I don't talk for most of it until the end, then I get all chatty like I am right now. But here's an example of how stable it can be sometimes, or how unstable it can be sometimes, as well as what you can possibly use it for. Because it's hard to tell until I open up the map, but as soon as I get in the upper atmosphere, I'm basically already outside of the planet's influence. It's very impressive. These things are extremely powerful if done correctly. So, let's get right to that. And cut. It literally just doesn't make up its mind. I mean, it's getting there. It's slowly making it to space. And it hasn't blown up yet. This is probably the most unreliable, powerful tool I've ever made. I mean, look at it. Can't decide where it's going, but definitely knows it wants to burn up in the atmosphere. That's for sure. This thing has decided to make it to space, and then it blows up. So at this point, it is completely useless and kind of unstable, but somehow has lost its power source. But we are leaving the atmosphere. We're leaving everything. We're just gone. Just like that. We're just gone. Well, that's gonna stay in the books. Good thing I recorded that one. I thought I was just going to flip out and stuff and show how unstable it was. And it did, kinda. But now we're just heading off in this direction for the rest of the world. Or for the rest of this small thing's life. Just gone. Just gone forever. In our own little orbit. Broken Kraken Drive in nowhere. Well, that's the Kraken Drive. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to actually speak during this part or just show you the footage of it. And also I'm recording this part first, surprise, because I did not expect that to happen. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful, because it's more helpful than anything else that is on YouTube about the Kraken Drive, at least from my experience. Like, my own video pops up if you type it, like my previous older one. I'm not sure if I said anything about that, but even that one isn't very useful. And some of the tutorials, if there are any, are probably pretty vague or outdated. So, yeah. That's a thing. Well, I've been King. I hope you like this very inconsequential video about a Kraken Drive thingy. If you want more, subscribe. I have no idea what else I'm gonna be doing Kerbal Space Program related, but it'll be interesting. See you guys in another video, possibly, if you guys click another video of mine. Anyway, bye.